sneezing on me all day.
Deb's.
I call the meeting to order. Would you please join me in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you haven't done so already, would you please sign the register in the back? Roll call of the board.
Ms. Dawn? Here. Mr. Giffen?
Present.
Mr. Hernandez?
Present.
Ms. Quintero?
Present.
Mr. Crouch?
Present.
Mr. Crouch.
Mr. Giffen.
I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Dawn?
Yes.
Mr. Giffen?
Aye.
Mr. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Crouch?
Aye. Next, we have governing board comments. Let's mix it up a little bit. We'll start with Ms. Dong this time.
Yeah, she's already.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what, we'll change. We'll go back to Mr. Giffen first.
Thank you.
Just one thing. I'm real happy with all of the good press we've been getting lately. There was stuff we saw on the media today. We had a good article in there yesterday on the paper. So I'm very happy. We'll leave TUSD and the other districts with the negative stuff. But as long as it's positive, it's great. So
Yes, sir.
thank you.
I'm excited to be able to go tomorrow to the Pride of Sunnyside breakfast. I'm really looking forward to being able to join in honoring all of the awesome staff that we have here at Sunnyside. So very much looking forward to that tomorrow. Desert View, I believe.
That's good.
Ms. Quintero.
Elvira School with the help of Mr. Holmes and the mayor and Kindred Morgan and you were there as well. And, and we had a lot of fun with the kids planting trees, and it was great.
Ms. Dong.
Yes, I had the opportunity, because of different circumstances, to go to the open house over at Liberty, and it was really great to see how many parents, and this was broken up into different parts, and even though it was, K through 3 the first time, then this one was 4 through 6, it was still packed. There was so many parents, and there was also grandparents there and tias and tios, there to support the students, and the students were so excited. It was really neat to see what they were doing in the classrooms, but just the excitement of the students was really great. And they just had gotten their computers, so they were showing everybody, all the different things they were already able to do on their computers and talking about what they do in math and stuff like that. So it was really nice to see these young futures of the Sunnyside district, with all the excitement of school and all the excitement of what they're learning. And the teachers, they looked like they were having so much fun, and they were all excited. They didn't even look like, oh, I gotta be here in the nighttime when I gotta do all this homework. Well, they looked like they were like having so much fun too, and happy to be meeting all the parents and all the families. So that was an exciting evening.
And I'd just like to echo the positive things that are going on. The teachers I've talked to when I've gone on campuses, the excitement level is so high and so positive. It's really great to be at the start of a school year at this level, so it's fantastic. Mr. Holmes, your report?
Mr. Crouch, members of the governing board, I'd like to start by welcoming our new member to our team, Ms. Ana Gallego. So Ana, welcome to our leadership team. Great addition. And Dr. Williams, Lila Williams, is also here as well, welcoming her to our team, who's taking over for Sue Tillis. Two great members that were joining our team, and we're going to add a lot of value and help all our kids in our community, so thank you. Starting out our superintendent's report, we have our school supply drive at Summit View and Drexel. We're the lucky recipients of a school supply drive by Learning A to Z. It's a book company who is actually local, who does a lot of supply drives for us and has been working with us on on some of their product, but it was great to experience that in our schools, particularly at the 2 schools that are listed here today. So thank you. Here's our tree digging at Elvira students. We had a dozen new trees on their campus, where the Tucson mayor, representative from Trees for Tucson, helped the students dig holes and plant several variety of trees. So we're continue to work with a grant actually that we received as part of the Trees for Tucson and the mayor's office to really plant about 30 trees, right? 30 trees across our district. So that's maybe in one school, per school.
Maybe.
Yeah, so we did a division problem, right? So it was like 20, trying to figure out how many trees we're going to plant. But it's going to be a great opportunity for our schools to have trees available for shade in these wonderful hot summers that never end, right? We have True North Logic registration has begun. It's our new professional development system that is actually taking course registration this week. It's a milestone in the implementation process where school administrators are signing up for the evaluation portal, and teacher mentors are registering for courses through the True North Logic system. So it's launched. The board received a presentation at the end of this last year about the new system, so we're actually launching the new system, and it's going to be a better way of tracking our professional development activities for hours and credit, but equally important for uploading information and documents as well. The August edition of Your Sunnyside Story came out this week. We will not be mailing them out this year, but delivering them to multiple local businesses and community centers, libraries, and sending them home with students. Also, debuting this week is an opportunity for community members to subscribe to receive the Sunnyside Story and Que Pasa online in their emails. So in other ways of trying to improve communication, I figure we try to go through local community spots that can actually showcase our story and share it out. And so we'll see if we get better distribution that way and better information out to our community that way as well. A wonderful high school football season kickoff. Sunnyside started last week at Nogales, but we actually have home games this week where we have Sunnyside playing against Pueblo here at Sunnyside and Desert View playing at Palo Verde over at Desert View. Both games are at home and begin at 7 p.m. So go Blue Devils and go Jags. I'd like to end with just an update on our construction JTED program. This is a little bit of a slide picture show that Ms. Veras has been put together by our JTED Central Campus. That's correct, which is a nice. Got a code there. Can never figure out those words. I always spell them wrong. CV2HN4.
There's an I in there.
Is it a V or an N?
That it's wrong.
Hopefully we'll see it, but it really showcases the program in pictures, which I think is a great representation of the wonderful beginning to a program that I think is going to flourish over time.
Yeah, I guess my apologies. It's a beautiful little, if you go to Facebook and you go into the JTED Facebook site, it's a really nice video vignette that they've done just of our kids.
Okay, thank you. We'll play it later. That concludes our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you.
Next, we have call to the audience. We haven't read the norms in a little while, so I was going to go ahead and read them tonight. A couple years ago, we established norms for the call to the audience and for the board meetings. This is the way we react to each other and the way we expect the audience to react to us as well. The norms for the governing board meetings are: first, communicate respectfully with your words, tone, and body language. Respect others by listening to their comments and points of view. Professionally disagree when communicating different points of view. And focus your comments on specific issues without using individual names. With our call to the audience, we have a 3-minute timer, and we really appreciate it when you reach the end of the 3 minutes, if you conclude and let the next person talk. So, thank you very much. First person that submitted a card for the call to the audience is Yolanda Herrera. And we don't have you state your address.
Don't have me state my address?
You don't have to state your
I don't want
address.
anybody to know where I live.
You can say it if you want.
I don't want to. I have to ask a little bit of indulgence here. I forgot my glasses at home, so.
Lots of options here.
Blind is blind. Where's your glasses?
Behind you.
We have a community pair that we
Good evening, Mr. Superintendent, board members, members of the audience. My name is, can't hear me?
It's not on.
Am I on?
There we go.
Okay. Do I have to do that all over again? Okay. Good evening. Is this going to run on my time? Good evening, Mr. Superintendent, board members, members of the audience. My name is Yolanda Herrera, a generations-long voter and taxpayer. We can agree to disagree. Many of you ran and promised to be fiscally responsible. I am here to ask many questions, the same ones I am hearing others in the community ask, reference the golf course. Have you asked why other districts who can afford one do not have one or invested in one? Are the golf schedules on the district calendar? Are we getting a true bang for a buck? Percentage of students who are on the team. Percentage of students who receive a golf scholarship over the last 5 decades. Percentage of titles SUSD has won over 5 decades. Cost of ongoing upkeep maintenance over the years. What type of research has gone into this and why the rush? The paper says we will potentially save only on one trip to Green Valley. Is this the best use of this land as well? Safety and liability is one of my concerns. If someone gets hit by a golf ball, safety of our children. I was hit as a child, and by the grace of God, I am still here. This happened on the hill at Mission Manor by people illegally hitting golf balls. This happened over 5 decades ago. I request you pull this item and delay the vote until you can answer all these questions and make it known to the public at large. Thank you.
Next, we have Orlando Rodriguez.
Good evening, school board members, superintendent, and audience. I'm Orlando Rodriguez. I'm the head golf coach at Sunnyside High School. I oversee the boys and girls programs, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to be in front of you tonight because this process has been the result of 5 years of hard work, research, dedication to find a way that we can help our students who are members of the golf program, but also members of the district, come together, learn a sport which teaches values like honesty, integrity, etiquette, grow the program, and really give the opportunity for these kids to compete, if they choose to, on the level with the elite schools. But on the other hand, if they just want to come and try a new sport that they will never otherwise have an opportunity for, they can come and do that. Golf is one of the few sports you can play into your 70s, 80s, and our kids aren't exposed to it. This facility will be a game changer. Safety and security is one of my primary issues, even on the regular course taking students out there. That's why this facility has been designed for the safety of all the buildings, all the areas on campus, designed to be locked up when it's not in use and protected. The maintenance has been taken care of, where our golf program is already starting to fund to provide the maintenance for it. Daily maintenance and care will be taken care of by our athletes. Part of golf is learning how to take care of the course. When you make a divot on the golf course, you repair that divot. When you make a divot on the green, you repair that. When you overuse a certain area of our practice facility, you go get that sand fill, you put it in the grass, and you fill it in. This has not been a quick process. Over the 5 years, we have pursued different avenues. We have met with our athletic directors. We presented to the BOC committee, have been to multiple BOC meetings where we have presented. We got permission to seek bids, brought those bids back. It has been a clear and open process this whole way through to allow the BOC committee, who are members of our community, to look at this item, understand the vision, and that it's more than just serving the 20 kids we have in our program right now, the 12 boys and 8 girls, but it's serving the PE classes who want to experience it. It's serving Apollo Special Olympics, who, because of budgets last year, they only practiced one time because it was too expensive for them to gather up the athletes and take them out to the golf course. This, I've talked to their coach before the season. I said, look, if this gets approved, I want you out there 2-3 weeks before. I'll have my golfers go out there. We can work on putting together. It could be something great for both programs. I've talked to the First Tee and said, in the springtime, let's work with the First Tee, who has a foundation of 8 core values: honesty, integrity, and things like that, and about partnering with them to put a program together on our campus where we teach that curriculum and expose them to the game of golf and allow them to utilize that complex with myself there. But this has not been a quick decision. That has not been a rush to judgment. I understand I'm asking for 1% of that $10 million athletic bond fund. And, you know, with the savings from transportation, if this facility produces just one student athlete in the next 15 years of its use into college, it pays for itself. Thank you.
That was all the cards we had for call of the audience. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda.
Mr. Kraus?
Mr. Giffen?
I would move at this time that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second?
Okay, I was going to pull something.
Oh.
That's okay. I can pull it. Can I?
You have to do it now.
I
Yeah,
have to
you have to do it
now.
now, please.
Okay. I'd like to pull consent from the consent agenda 3 and 2, so we can discuss the golf complex.
Okay. And move it to unfinished business?
Oh, yes, and move it to unfinished business.
And I will amend my motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Thank you.
Ms. Dong?
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Dawn?
Yes.
Mr. Giffen?
Aye.
Mr. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Crouch?
Aye. Next item on the agenda is the refuse collections services, RFP. Mr. Encinas?
Thank you, Mr. Cross, and board members, Superintendent Holmes. As directed by the governing board back in May, June 22nd, administration solicited an RFP for the refuse collection slash recycling compost pilot program for the district. 5 proposals were received by the district, and based on the evaluation of all the factors by members of the committee, it consisted of, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Ms. Fernando Valencia, Ms. Debbie Hemley, and Mr. Ken Kamak. It is recommended the governing board award the contract to Diggins Environmental Services for the 2016-17 school year with possible 4 one-year extensions. The award would be based on, would include the services of refuse collection with the initiation of a pilot recycling compost program that would be implemented gradually throughout the year. Mr. Fernando Valencia, our Assistant Director of Maintenance, will be coordinating and implementing the program, contacting site personnel, and basically initiating this program from the ground up. I'm pleased to inform the governing board that as a result of your direction to have an RFP solicited, the proposed 2% increase that had been presented by Diggins to the district was not in the new RFP, so we saved the 2%, so thank you. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. I think Mr. Valencia here tonight.
Any questions from the board?
I do.
Ms. Quintero?
Yes. So I was going over the numbers, and for the top one that said Dickens was monthly service?
Yes, ma'am.
That's just for the refuse container?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then recycling was different.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm wondering, so he just wants paper and cardboard. So that doesn't include the plastic, the bottles, the aluminum. He's only collecting paper and cardboard for recycling purposes.
As far as I am aware, yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. So, and then, so the total cost of pickup is $1,035 with an estimated rebate of $1,225 a month. So is he working for free?
Mr. Holmes?
I believe we have representation from Diggins here. If they would come up, if you can please come to the mic. And there's a couple questions that we just want to get clarity on, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Did you understand the question?
Yeah, you're wondering if we're going to be working for free? It's not generally our policy. But we're very concerned with the budgetary issues of the Sunnyside School District.
Thank
and
you.
We're trying to do our best to work within that. So I have been communicating with our recycling partners, trying to maximize rebates for this program.
Okay.
The recycling program that I laid out, what you're referring to, I believe is the paper.
Correct.
So with that program, we did a test run. So we provided one barrel for the office paper here at the main location, and we calculated the weight. Now this is all based on estimates. We have no way of knowing what the ultimate weight will be district-wide. But based on the weight and the rebates as they stand now, the district will make money by doing this program. We will charge you for the cost of service on our end, but you will be getting 100% of the rebate. Now, that can be given to you directly by the recycling facility if you want it to be worked that way, or we could apply it as a credit to our monthly bills. So, no, we're not working for free, but we are making sure that you get paid for the materials.
Okay.
So.
But you're not taking plastic and bottles and aluminum?
No, that stuff is already being taken in recycling. So at schools, currently you have commingled, what they call single stream recycling front load bins. That material, including the paper, is already going into those containers and is being recycled. The problem is there's no rebate on that material.
Okay.
Because there's no way to separate it from other customers, and also the recycling facilities don't offer rebates for that. For segregated materials, they do. So
Okay.
that's why we think this would be more cost effective for you.
It is. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Stay there.
Okay.
No.
It's not working for us yet.
Let's go to compost. It's like-
Sure.
Okay, so on the compost, you said the estimated, so the total per month was $3,080.
Mm-hmm.
The estimated rebate is $1,550.
Mm-hmm.
This is compost.
Yes.
How do you get rebate from compost?
That is my little secret. But I will share it with you. So the way I am offering a rebate, this is unlike the other recycling. I am personally giving the rebate, not compost cats. And the reason I can do that is because I am assuming every ton that goes into the composting loads is a ton that's taken out of the trash cans.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm deducting my cost for disposing of trash and giving it to you, but my cost for disposing of it at the composting is already in the price.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it's
Yeah.
given to Peter to take from Paul, but it will save you money from the
Okay,
trash.
because I've been to the facility many times, and I'm trying to figure out how to get a rebate out of compost.
Yeah.
And so, okay, that explains it quite well. And so, along with the compost containers, are they going to be locked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's, we're gonna have plastic front load bins that have lock bars on them.
Okay. And who's gonna train the kitchen staff or kids? Who is gonna do the educating on composting? Is it
Well-
the compost cats?
It's gonna be both of us. So
Okay.
I actually spoke with Chet of Compost Cats today, notifying him that this might be in the works. and asked him if he was willing to do a joint education seminar for Sunnyside, and he was more than happy to do that with us. So they already have a presentation all put together. All you would need on my end is to kind of explain where our containers are going, when our pickup's going to be, making sure the staff knows how to use it.
And is it the kitchen staff that's getting educated?
Yes, the
Okay.
kitchen staff. I'm not sure if you want to get students involved quite yet. I think that kind of thing you want to keep in back of house.
Yeah. Thank you very
Is that all?
much.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
perfect. Thank you.
Stay right there.
Oh, wait, sorry.
First of all, I'm glad that you're working with Compost Cats because they do a lot of education.
Oh, yeah.
And so I know that at the beginning here, definitely, probably even the first year, it would be good just to involve the education as far as the staff is concerned, the cafeteria staff. But eventually, I think it would be great, because I've known and I've seen it happen at other places, other schools, where the students are also involved in the educational piece of composting. And that way, the more they learn, the more they're able to take it to their homes, and the more that happens in their homes. So Compost Cats is great at doing those kind of things with the staff, but also with students. And so I think in the long run, it'll be good to have that partnership with Chet and his staff.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I ask, does Sunnyside School District have an in-house like farming program?
We have a couple of agricultural,
The gardens.
gardens. We have a huge one at Apollo Middle School, for example. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Sunnyside, the Desert View one. I think it's probably still going to probably continue, but in a different way. So we do have some.
I'm just thinking that something else that's worth considering is doing composting in-house. And that
Yes.
way there's no cost at all.
Right.
So
That would be
that's
great.
something we're thinking about too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank you.
your work.
Thank you very much. Mr. Giffen?
Yeah, I'll just mention, I know we did have a teacher at Liberty for a while, because I donated a couple of compost bins to him that was actually doing composting on site. So, and I'm not quite sure how that's, if that's even still in existence. So,
Any other discussion?
No. I'll make a motion.
Okay. Please. Ms. Quintero?
So I will recommend that the governing board award the RFP for a refuse collection and pilot recycling compost program to Diggins Environmental Service.
Second?
Roll call?
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Giffen?
yes.
Mr. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Crouch?
Aye. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is 2016-2017 Sunnyside Unified School District property tax rates. Mr. Encinas?
Thank you, Mr. Crouch, board members, Superintendent Holmes. The Pima County Board of Supervisors on August 15th set the Pima County tax rates for numerous school, jurisdictions, including school districts. Of primary concern is the fact that as tax bills go out this mid-September, our Sunnyside property tax homeowners or property owners will see a dramatic increase in their tax rate. That is as a result of implementation or the passage of House Bill 2481, which requires that school districts can no longer utilize potential ending cash balances to either stabilize, reduce, or maintain tax rates, but rather set the tax rate that's equal to at least the qualifying tax rate. As history, I've attached a spreadsheet which historically shows what the district's tax rates have been over the past 10 years. And as you will see that since 2006, the total tax rate for Sunnyside has dropped substantially, with a high being in 2007 of $9.15 per hundred, down to a low of $3.99 last year. Two reasons occurred are responsible for that decrease. One is the fact that we had an override for a substantial number of those years, from 2007 to 2014, where the override eventually was eliminated because the override was not reauthorized, but also because we were able to use ending cash balances in our M&O to help offset the primary tax rate. So the decrease in the primary tax rates have been as a direct result of utilizing our ending cash balances. To a point where, at this point in time, this past year, we roughly had a little less than probably $1 million of ending cash that we could have utilized potentially to reduce the tax rate, which would have reduced the tax rate about 24 cents. But this is just an information item for the governing board and the community. We've put that information on the website for our constituency to see, and I anticipate many calls come tax bill season.
Mr. Giffen?
Yeah, just briefly, I want to thank you for putting that package together, that the literature that we got on that. I did post it on our next door neighborhood, and I know it's been distributed quite widely. And I had several people comment and get back to me and thank me for putting that out there. So I do know that there are those of our constituents out there that do pay attention to their property taxes, and especially when you get to my age. So, but anyway, yeah, I think we did a very good job on getting that information out this time. So, thank you very much.
Mr. Hernandez?
Thank you, Mr. Encinas, for putting this together. Similar to what Mr. Giffen has said, I know that in my conversations with folks, this has been something where they didn't really understand the impact until we had things like this graph. So it's been helpful because the people who ask me, well, what have we been doing? What have the changes been over time? I can just point them to this. So I'm glad that we're being proactive, because I know this is going to come as a big shock to a lot of folks, even though we're doing our best to try and inform them, because we've stabilized the tax rate for such a long time that I think this is going to be a big shock to a lot of folks. So I'm glad that we're putting the information out there. I wish there was something else we could do. But given the limitations from the legislature, I'm glad that we're at the very least trying to show the impact that our decisions here at the district had for the period of time shown on this graph. So thank you.
One of the things that I
Mr.
failed to mention is this, that another factor that even further exacerbates the problem is the fact that with current year funding, we've set a tax rate based on a budget of $85 million. If the state then forces us to reduce our budget because of current year funding to $80 million, then in essence, we've set a tax rate to collect more taxes than we can actually spend, right, therefore adding to the ending cash balance that we can't use to reduce taxes the following year. So it's created a problem.
Ms. Dong?
I know that sometimes it seems useless, but I definitely would like to see if maybe as a district, we can send a letter up to the legislators and explain exactly how this has impacted our community, how it's impacted our school, but also our community. And that way, they can at least start to see the effects of what they are doing and how it doesn't make sense in many, many ways. It just, you try to explain this to people and they just don't understand it, because it doesn't make any sense that they would make us collect more money that they will allow us to spend. So if we could, I think, put a letter together from the district to the state legislators, I'd appreciate that.
It also is a good segue to the next agenda item.
Is there any more discussion on item B? Mr. Holmes?
Just for clarity, because I just want to make sure it doesn't get lost on anyone from the community that's hearing this potentially for the first time. And I'm going to say it a different way, because I try to interpret for Hector as much as possible. So in other words, as we try to be good stewards of our budget, what our finance department has done year after year is try to keep a budget balance carry forward that would allow us to reduce the tax rate that year to year has fluctuated, but good budgeting has allowed us to use that carryover. So now any money that we become good stewards of to lower the tax rate cannot be used anymore for that purposes. And so this particular House bill, just so if people are hearing, is House Bill 2481. If people want to look up the language on that House Bill 2481, it specifically outlines the expectations now from school districts. And again, this is the first year school districts are being held to this standard, which wasn't the case prior to this. So I just want to make sure to say it one more time a different way so that people understand that the district isn't, changing taxes to collect more money from our community members. It really is a byproduct of not being able to use carryover funds to lower the tax rate. So just want to clarify another time.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Arizona School Board Association legislative priorities. Mr. Holmes?
Sure. As our team reviewed the priorities from ASBA, there was complete agreement on both the language and what was being suggested by those who were influential in actually setting the priorities. With the exception, just wanted some clarity, and Ms. Prather, who's our JTED director, wanted for clarification, and I'm going to read this because I think it's important for us to understand the implications as we look at restoration of cuts to advocate for 100% funding. The reality is that the item regarding the restoration of 100% of JTED funding for large JTEDs affects only 3 JTEDs in Arizona, which is EVIT in Mesa, West MEC in Glendale, and Pima County JTED, who only generate 95% of funding ADM as opposed to 100% of ADM. And that's the distinct clarification that I want to make sure is understood as we're continuing to advocate for restoration of cuts. All other JTEDs in Arizona except these 3 receive 100% of JTED ADM funding, which puts us, what our particular JTED in a disadvantage. So again, clarification for this particular item is that unless this is reversed, Sunnyside and Pima County JTED satellites and central JTED enrollments generate less funding than others in Arizona, meaning less funding gets into our Sunnyside JTED satellite classrooms, as well to support our students and teachers. So that's just a point of clarification as we're advocating for restoration, that there are still 3 JTEDs in Arizona that only receive 95% of JTED funding. And I thank you, Ms. Prather, for clarifying that for us as we're continuing to advocate on behalf of our JTED programs. So hopefully it gives you a little bit more information, Mr. Crouch, as you're representing us at the legislative priority session.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. I'll make sure we read this into the discussion at the ASBA meeting.
Perfect.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the request for future agenda items.
I think we should recommend the
No, not
motion.
To recommend as submitted.
Oh,
Motion.
was this information or was it?
Info
Okay,
action.
That's okay.
Excuse me, thank you for keeping me on track. Okay, so, yes, this is info action, so is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Quintero?
I'll make a motion that we recommend as submitted the ASBA legislative priorities.
Second?
Roll call?
Ms. Dawn?
Yes.
Mr. Giffen?
Aye.
Mr. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Crouch?
Aye. Motion carries. Request for future agenda items. Are there any requests for future agenda items from the board members?
I don't have
Just
Okay.
Steve has one.
But,
Just for clarification, Mr. Crouch, I know Mr. Hernandez had asked for, to talk a little bit of our enrollment trends. We had originally scheduled and so did Ms. Dong, our demographic recapture rates. We anticipate having that data for our next governing board meeting, which will agendize not only the question Ms. Dong had about recapture rates and by area and trends, but also a question Mr. Hernandez asked, which is, how are we gonna approach that particular trend of declining enrollment? So we'll have that prepared, hopefully for the September 13th session.
with no request for future agenda items, the next item is unfinished business. And on unfinished business, we have the award of RFP for Sunnyside, or for SSHS Golf Complex. Ms. Quintero, since you pulled this, would you like to address the issue first?
Yes, I do have some questions, and I don't know, can I bring up Orlando? Can I, since
Yes.
it's okay? Since I have questions and you can answer them. It's like,
And I believe we have some members of the Bach committee here as well, don't we? Or do we have any members of Bach here?
no, but
I guess.
Well,
We have at least one.
other than, are there any other? Okay.
Well, he could, even though he may not have participated in the vote, he could still address how
address
Bach.
some
Questions, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Well, thank you I commend you for your work on this big proposal that I got to read for nighttime reading. Thank you. It's like, so, and for thinking outside the box. And I know that there are so many questions, I don't know where to begin. But we have lived this long without a golf complex. Can you convince me why we absolutely need this?
We have $10 million available in bond funds for athletics. And if we were only giving it to our top-notch programs that produce Division I athletes, we should build a $10 million wrestling facility at Sunnyside High School. Other than that program, if we're going to treat it, like what I believe the community wanted, is to provide for all athletic programs, to provide for everyone from the tennis team who had to fight tooth and nail to get their courts resurfaced, which was a safety issue, to my golf program, to the cheer program, to the volleyballs getting their gym resurfaced. So it isn't just about me or the golf team. It's about getting the little guy, all the programs. And right now, fortunately, last year we switched from Torres Blancas in Green Valley to El Rio. It's still every day, myself and my assistant coach, Nick Duddleston, have to go to district office, pick up a van, come back to school, pick up the kids, drive to El Rio. That's an extra half hour every day, both ways. So we got an extra hour of our time there. Used to be an hour and a half, 2 hours doing that to Green Valley. Desert View, they go out to Green Valley also. When we designed this complex, they don't have much of an off-season program. We go out twice a week, and that's all district allows us because of funding for transportation. Our kids, I have access to many courses for them to play for free, to get free range balls whenever they want to go. But they can't get out there because of transportation issues. They can't get a parent who's willing to drop them off, on Speedway and the freeway at El Rio, leave them for 4.5 hours, find a way to get away at lunchtime to come pick them up after their round of golf. We don't have any kind of facility like this that's close by. All the other schools that have, or all the other public courses that are closer than our course, they have schools that are closer to them. This will allow our kids who want to practice every day and want to try to be elite to do it. This will allow our PE classes, our Special Olympics teams, like I mentioned earlier, allow our district to use it to get little kids over here to learn the game and learn the skills that go along with the game. I mean, I really believe the opportunity to give a small percentage of that bond funding, which we went through a very transparent process with the BOT committee and did every step of the way what was asked of us, and before I even got to step in front of the BOT committee, I had done 3 years of research, getting bids submitted to myself, walking through the complex, getting ideas, and finally we're at this point where we have probably the best company in the world at doing this job right in our backyard in Scottsdale, and a former Tucsonian, and he has the same vision as myself. It wasn't, hey, I want to come out and do this job, you pay me and I'm gone. It's, I really, he doesn't need to take this job. He does $1 million projects in backyards and all over the world. And for him to even come out and entertain this idea really shows that his belief in what we're doing here. I have a ton of golfers here that love the game and they're good and they're competitive, but they know that they have a very limited window to compete because the first time they touched their club was in 9th grade. This facility just opens more doors to our kids and exposes them to new things. And women's golf is the biggest unused funding source of scholarships in any sport, in Division I, Division II. And so I have two girls who graduated last year from Sunnyside Golf, started playing as sophomores. They had an opportunity, they could have both went and played for Scottsdale Community College golf this year. They chose not to because both of them are outstanding top 5% students who had full rides at the University of Arizona. So we've had opportunities for girls in the past. Hopefully in the future, this can open some doors for boys because that's a lot more difficult environment to compete with. But it's about exposing them to something new and giving them that chance where otherwise they'll never be exposed. They'll never have this opportunity.
Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, did you?
I just wanted to touch base on the safety concerns that are out there. So the nets and stuff that.
All right, so the complex is being designed where the areas on the north and the east side where the balls will be hit in that direction will have 30 feet high, 75 feet wide driving range netting, like a backstop they have at baseball games. All right, the shots that we'll hit from there, most of our shots are going to be short shots, 30 yards or less, where the ball's not going to get higher than the ceiling. All right, as the more experienced players practice, then we can go back out to 100 yards and hit shots into that facility. All shots are hit away from the buildings and into that backstop. Most of the shots, especially with beginners, they're going to be putting on the green. They're going to be chipping. Everything's going to be within the close range until their skills allow them to expand and move back. The first thing we talk about, the first day of practice, I talk about when we set up, when you pull a club, you make sure you're out of this area, you're in a safety zone. When you're done hitting, you step back behind, and if you're talking to your friend, because the last thing we want is someone to get hit with a golf ball or hit with a club. And so, fortunately, knock on wood, in my 9 years of doing the boys program and 6 years of doing the girls program, we've never had an injury. And it's part of it is learning the etiquette and the things around golf that prevents a lot of those things and those being taught up front.
And so, maintenance on this.
The maintenance on this facility will primarily be done by our golfers. The people using it, it's real easy to maintain. It's all artificial turf. Areas that get used, we have the builder will provide an extra ton of sand that you go and you scoop up the sand, you dump it in the artificial grass, and you brush it down. All right. Any of the tools when they come in, I'm going to be alongside every step of the way, and we are already starting to devise a plan to order the stuff that we'll need for long-term maintenance. And we've even discussed with the company of our golf team or boosters purchasing a yearly maintenance program where they come out every year and just touch up what needs to be touched up. But as far as daily maintenance and usage, that'll all be handled in-house by us. Anything else, if there's a big, dust storm that blows a lot of leaves, I just put in a maintenance request that we need it blown off. But it's low maintenance. And when they come in, the biggest thing we want to be aware of is we want to make sure that the sprinklers that are in there, and Carlos Valdez and his staff are going to come out and reroute those sprinklers and make sure that they're pointed away from the complex, still keeping the grass growing, but maintaining the integrity of that complex from the calcium-rich water.
Right. And so there was one more question that I had about the turf, because I hate to say this, but when you spit on that stuff, it doesn't go away because it's not natural, so it stays there, so it has to be washed. So we're still going to use water, correct? You still have to wash it.
Rarely, because it's outside, it's all weather conditions and stuff.
And we wait for the rain.
Yeah, the rain, but no, the facility itself doesn't need any water as part of the maintenance process or anything. It just needs to be blown clean or brushed with the sand into the fibers. And then the other thing is part of maintenance, part of the plan that Celebrity Greens has suggested. They're going to enclose the whole 75 by 75 yard area with a 6-inch berm, so that all of the artificial turf will butt up to cement to inhibit the edges being ripped up, to inhibit the growth of weeds coming in from the outside and encroaching. So definitely care and maintenance is something that we're big, and we're building that into part of our program to maintain it.
And so, are we going to have cameras on this to make sure that the vandalism is not?
We have cameras all over. There's a camera right there next to the 700 hall where
Okay.
this is going to be built. And yeah, once it is built, it's going to be fully insured under just another item that we have on campus, just like anything else. So if someone destroyed the football field, it would be treated the same way as the golf complex, or they broke into the gym.
Okay. And then one more. Okay, so on the advisements, it says that the repair of damage or disruption due to normal expected construction practices is not the responsibility of CG, its affiliates, or its workforce. So when they build it, is there anything in there that's going to get broken on their way in with their trucks and stuff?
No, so we took a site plan, we met with Dave Heck, we came out, the only thing under that ground is irrigation lines where we have some sprinkler heads to water that facility. Some of the sports teams use it. It's also the discus area where it gets thrown. And so there's 3 lines. There's 2 that run through for sure, one that's going to be right in the border, and between 4 and 9 sprinkler heads that just need to be rerouted. Carlos Valdez and his crew, they're gonna handle that, and they've already looked at the area and looked at the job, and that's within their scope of work that they can go in and they can cap off those existing ones, remove them, reroute the irrigation so it's outside the complex. So those guys will come into an empty facility, they'll build it up there, and there's nothing else that should be interfered with.
I lied, there's one more.
Yes.
Okay, so would the general community be able to use this facility?
Right now, as you know, as recommended with the BOT committee, we want this to be utilized by the district students, the kids. I would like to have, and I've discussed with my assistant coach and some of the other things when we're talking about ideas, is to have some community nights where maybe on, if it's built in time for the homecoming football game or the last football game, I can be stationed with my golfers at the complex and say, hey, feel free, community, to come out, hit some chips, hit some putts, check out the new facility. So I would like to have some of those periodically throughout to encourage the community to come out, see what we have, bring their kids out, and really feel a part of it. Long term, if this project continues to grow, I mean, in my mind, I've been working on phase 1 for the last 5 years, but the level of interest, this facility, by my research, is going to be the first golf facility. There's about 14 in the nation. This will be the first one that serves a low income, high minority population. The other 13 are at schools that have multiple state champions, that are private schools, $70,000 a year boarding schools. This is something that when people talk about growing the game of golf and exposing new kids to it, this is the thing that can give our kids who want to be competitive. And we see how good our kids can be when they put their mind to something. Now think about putting their golf clubs in the hands of a 5-year-old, little kid in our district and tell him he can't be good. And so this is that opportunity to be that game changer.
Thank you. You put a lot of work into this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez?
I want to commend you for all of the hard work and research that you've put into this. One of the things that I wanted to do was bring up something that happened prior to Ms. Quintero's joining the board in 2011 when we actually worked on the passing of the bond. So the idea of just because we've lived this long without it doesn't mean we need it or we can keep going without it is one of the reasons why this bond was put into place. When we look at a lot of the needs in this district, there are so many things that don't currently exist in the Sunnyside School District. We have 2 public libraries in 90 square miles. We have very limited grocery shopping, so we have a food desert. So there are a lot of things that this community needs, and I think we have to be careful stewards of our dollars, and we need to be careful what we choose as projects. But I think we need to also be open-minded about some of the things. I'm not by any means a golf aficionado. I don't know how it works. But I see the value in opening up this as a door of opportunity for our students, particularly, as was mentioned, for young women. And I think as we've talked about when we're talking about STEM and different opportunities for our young women, this is another excellent opportunity. And as we're trying to be more innovative to try and help our students find opportunities, to find scholarships, to find money to go to school once they're done here at Sunnyside, this is another added bonus. So yes, it seems pricey on the front end, but the fact that it has had so much thought and research put into it, yes, safety is a concern, but a lot of that is being abated by the way that it's going to be constructed and the research that was put in before anything was put onto paper. So I just wanted to share with Ms. Quintero that when we went out and talked to voters, particularly when we were talking about sports, we weren't just talking about the the football team and the basketball team and the wrestling team, we said we want to create opportunities for all of our students to be able to explore new areas. So we talked about fixing the track field. We at one point got very audacious and said we want to do a big sports complex. We don't have the money to do a big sports complex, but what we can do is take money and put it into projects like this that will help benefit the entire community. And I think it seems a little difficult to believe that golf would thrive in Sunnyside, but I think until we give it as an opportunity for our students to really explore it here without having to go 45 minutes to an hour in either direction, I think we won't really know the full extent. So it's a little bit of a gamble or a little bit of a risk to say let's invest this much money in a golf complex, but I think what we've shown already with the difficulties in getting there with 20 students is that if we have it in-house, the opportunity for it to expand is quite large, particularly if we do a lot of work to try and target. And I'm sure you're going to be recruiting folks to join your team.
Yeah, we do heavily recruit, but like we said, the barrier to entry is so huge where if you have a grandpa takes you out, oh, you're familiar, you're comfortable. If you have a friend, you know, most of these kids came, I don't know how, you know, just a blind wish and close their eyes. And I got them out there one day and they were hooked.
Right.
But most kids don't even want to take that first step. So it's something on campus where you can say, hey, during PE class, we're going to come around, we're going to demonstrate it. Hey, I kind of like this. Let me go to practice. Let me see what it's like. So that's a big point.
And reducing the barrier of entry, I think, is a big thing that we need to do here. So I wanted to just kind of add that as context of when we passed this, we said, yes, there are a lot of things we've lived without for a long time, but that's why we went for $88 million to see what can we add as benefits to this community. But I actually have a question that you started hitting on. One of the things that I think would be a great opportunity once this is built, if it gets approved, is to really try and tie that in with the PE so they can have that be something that they're exploring. And you just mentioned it.
Definitely, yeah. So I've talked with the PE teachers about doing it, and part of it, as I said, the way I want to do it is I want to come in day one and give a lesson on etiquette, on the facility, on the rules of the game and the nature of the game, so they understand, you know, the etiquette and going in and the respect for the facilities and everything, and they're all on board. And so I've also talked with possibly down the line adding a spring golf elective when we're at a season where, you know, I can partner with DECA and say we're going to offer this to DECA seniors and learn about how to play golf good enough that you can go out on the course with your boss and you can get around, because most of the major business deals are conducted on the golf course. So to open some of those avenues to other kids to say, look, I don't need you to come out for golf, but this is going to help you going forward if the boss says, hey, can you come and swing the clubs?
So I would say when we're looking at this, we're not just looking at 20 students utilizing it. By creating this opportunity, we'll also be able to open the door for potentially PE classes to utilize this, and even potentially have some lectures. So yes, it's a little bit of a risk to see, you know, how many more students can we get to utilize this, but I think there's boundless opportunities for us to at least offer this up and reduce the barrier of opportunity for folks to get involved. So I think we're asking a lot of the right questions in terms of safety, but I think a lot of research has gone into it, and I think that this will hopefully help provide another avenue for our students to be able to explore something that, you know, is not typical for kids that live in the south part of Tucson.
Thank you.
Ms. Dong?
Yes, I think there's very little risk, to tell you the truth. I think it's going to be incredible as far as being receptive by the community. And these are some of the reasons why. First of all, we've already got 20 kids at Sunnyside and about 20 kids at Desert View that are involved in something that, you know, they don't generally see on a day-to-day basis. Maybe a few of them have a grandpa that takes them to the golf course, but that's so minimal, that's so few. And we've already got, 40 kids, because my understanding is the Desert View kids will also be able to utilize this instead of having to go an hour, over and back to Green Valley. As far as, so I think it's going to cause a lot of opportunities for our students. And I know that sometimes you might not think of this community as a golfing community, but that's only because of our limitations that we sometimes put on ourselves. Look at what we've done with the fine arts. the bond that went through was also for fine arts, and look at what we've done in that school, and all the equipment, the musical equipment and everything else that's in there, and the things that the students are thriving with over there. So, we also, in that bond, we also had this thing on the sports. It was something that we knew was very important to our community. It's extremely important to community, as well as the mariachi and the stuff for fine arts. Sports is also extremely important in this particular community. And here we have an opportunity to give these kids another avenue, another sport that they could, excel at and get scholarships for, all over the country for. Especially if we start these kids doing these things in middle school, like your plans are. I'm not sure what the 5-year-old, I've seen some of them, they're kind of small.
My 5-year-old daughter started tournaments this
Okay.
summer, so.
Wow, that's
they
great.
can do it, the kindergartners
That's
can
great,
do it
just
as well.
smaller
Yeah,
golf
smaller
sticks.
clubs, of
Okay,
course.
then that makes more sense. But I remember when I was in high school, I had, in PE, they had me do golfing for a short amount of time. We did archery, it was pretty cool. We did golf, and the teachers told me, Eva, you're a natural, you should do this. How could I? There was no opportunities around here in the Sunnyside area for me to do something like that. I could have been a golf expert. I could have been a millionaire. No. But I didn't have that opportunity.
For sure.
I did not have that opportunity. No matter how much, sometimes you're told you can do something, you don't always have those opportunities. And here we're going to give these students an incredible opportunity by not just exposing the ones that have already been exposed, but the ones that are, the little ones, the middle school, the high school kids that can be exposed during PE. They can see, well, this is fun, this is great. Because yes, football is our signature here at Sunnyside, the Sunnyside community. But that's because we didn't have a golf course. And we had to, our kids, the few that got the opportunity, had to go far away. As far as safety is concerned, I understand, that now you've designed it to be safe there. But another thing that I think is going to be incredible is the safety of us not having to transport our kids to Green Valley, to not have to transport our kids to El Rio. Because so sad, oftentimes we hear about buses or vans going someplace and having accidents. And those poor athletes, that get hurt or that die when they're on their way to an event or to practice. Here we're going to minimize. The only time they're going to be going is when they go to actually do a tournament. But most of the time, they're not going to be driving down this highway to the Green Valley. As far as our Desert View kids are concerned, and what you were doing before, and now at El Rio, city traffic is even worse. It's even worse over there as far as driving. So I think as far as the safety, we're cutting some of the safety risks for our students by being able to have it here in our own district. The transportation is a concern, but safety for me, this is great. This is going to be good. As far as whether our community is ready for it, look at what happens. I mean, when we started these golf tournaments, oh my gosh, everybody wanted to play. We had all these businesses and all these former Sunnyside people coming in and playing there, raising all kinds of money. All kinds of fundraising goes on in this community when it comes to golf tournaments. We bring them out by the droves, all of our community. So it's something that our community does like, and it loves golf. I don't know, like others here, I'm not a golfer yet. And I say yet because my brother was never a golfer. Now that he's retired, all of a sudden I hear about him going golfing. So I go, what? But so it's a great community sport also, not just going to be staying here in this for the students, but it'll be a great community sport. However, talking about the community, I also am concerned, and I think definitely for this first year, we should not open it up to the community. This is for our kids, this is for our students. They have less opportunities, to do the traveling. They're in school and all that kind of stuff. I understand that one thing that you did describe about if it's open for homecoming, letting the community come and see what we've done with their bond money. Mm-hmm. That I can see. Have them come and see what we've done with their bond money and do a few little hits there and just to see what they've done with their bond money. That is great. But definitely this first year, I do not want really it to be open to the public. Spring stuff, whatever. I really, a few chips on homecoming or another, if it's not ready by then, another time, when we have people here in our schools. But I think it's for the students at this point in time.
Definitely.
And I would like to keep it that way, for quite a while.
Mr. Holmes?
So just Mr. Crouch and members of the board, I want to characterize a little bit about our bond advisory committee. They represent, having worked with them now for over a year, they're a great representation of our community who really are looking out for the best interest of how we're spending our money. I haven't seen a group that's as critical about how we're using these funds to ensure that we're doing what community expected from us. I want to characterize that a little bit for anyone who may be listening, because they are a group that really deeply cares about what's happening, how those funds are spent. And as controversial as this may sound in terms of the complex, it was very well vetted by that committee multiple times and in multiple situations with the two schools who are asking for different things. And it's a matter of prioritization. I mean, one can say, well, is this more important than something else? Schools were given the opportunity to prioritize. And at Sunnyside High School, this was one of the prioritizations that they actually came back with to look at that. The concern has been echoed to me by other community members. What does this mean for Desert View? And all Desert View, it's being open to Desert View. There's still concern of, will Desert View really be able to have access when you have another team playing? And that's a legitimate concern. I know Desert View is still proposing other ideas in terms of how they want to continue to utilize bond projects for athletics. So it may come up down the road here over the next year that they may want to do something similar. In their community, they had mentioned that earlier, where the racquetball courts are, where they're hardly ever used anymore, maybe doing something there. So I just want to make sure that this isn't just about Sunnyside, it is also about Desert View. Although I think this is, because of the nature of the uniqueness of this program, there's been a lot of spotlight on Sunnyside High School being, the benefactor of this to the expense of Desert View. And I just want to make sure that those represented and the BOC are very cognizant of finding equality between the two schools, so that will continue to be a priority for them. It has been echoed loud and clear to me that this isn't about one school or the other. They are looking at prioritizations, and this year we'll continue to find a balance. But I just want to make sure that the Bond Advisory Committee is characterizing the way that it really has been acting in this whole year, which is with strong fiscal oversight about what happens, but right now it is more of a difference of opinion for many folks who may not see the value in this. I, for one, had a difference of opinion when we were kind of exploring it at the onset, but I've kind of come around to really see the value of something that can be a gate, an opener of doors and opportunities for our kids if done correctly, and we don't waste this opportunity that potentially can be happening for our kids. And I know with Mr. Rodriguez at the helm and seeing his passion, I know he's going to make this work. There's no doubt in my mind.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Giffen?
Yeah, just a quick comment here. We've seen just recently here, I know Pueblo High School had a professional basketball player that came back, and a lot of times these professionals, once they get into the arena out there and making the big bucks, a lot of times they remember where they came from and they give back. So, and I know we did see that, like I say, here at Pueblo, a professional basketball player comes back to Pueblo every year and does basketball camps there for the school, for Pueblo High School. And I do know for a fact that Phil Mickelson, who's a professional golfer, he has a foundation, and they expressly target young people. And I know that's just one foundation. I know there's a number of them out there that are expressly targeting these type of activities in our schools. And so, and I think it's a wonderful project, and I'm 100% for it.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, one of the things that we have in place is moving forward is if, you know, we do get approval, we definitely have put out some feelers to some professional, either big name golf coaches and or professional golfers to be a part of you know, the final design and coming in and on campus and working with our athletes and being a part of a big grand opening celebration, because like I said before, the amount of positive press that has already come out is only going to multiply tenfold. This is going to be something that's going to be recognized on a national scale for what we're doing and the investment we're making in our kids in this game, because almost everybody that doesn't get the vision says, why Sunnyside? Why would you put it there? This isn't, you guys aren't that good yet. And it's, you know, it's not about that. And so I really believe that the notoriety and the well-rounded press that we're going to get with this on a national level is going to be something that we're all going to be proud of moving forward, because we're going to see the differences it can make and the way that golf can truly impact the life of the young kids in our district.
Thank you.
Well, when we open it up, I've contacted a couple of the students that were students when I was at Sunnyside that were on the golf team, and they were on the golf team, I believe, starting in '63. One of them graduated with me in '66, and they would probably like to be here for that grand opening, because they thought it was a fantastic idea. They didn't even have buses at the time. I mean, it was before buses, right? No. But actually, they didn't have school transportation. They used their own cars to drive to Reed Park, Randolph Park at the time. I do have a question about the life expectancy of the facility. Like synthetic grass, what's the life expectancy of it?
With care and maintenance, we're looking at about 15 years. All right. You know, 10 years, most of the material is warranted. They're going to provide extra material that they're going to set on top of the roof of the 700 hall, so it weather ages along with our facility. So if there is something that needs to be repaired, they can come in and replace it, and it'll look the same. And as part of the discussion, we've been looking at buying some tarps so we can cover it when it's going to be out of use for you know, a certain amount of time. And so definitely the maintenance, we're looking at about 15-year lifespan, and some of these facilities that have been designed have held up 20, 25 years that have been taken care of.
One of the things that impressed me when I looked at the calendar is we have the sports calendar in the back of our school calendar, and we have the girls teams from Sunnyside, the girls team from Desert View, the boys team from Sunnyside, and the boys team from Desert View, all on the calendar, and they take up, you know, they have a pretty aggressive schedule in there as well. One of the things that I observed was when I went to Right Flight from one of our elementary schools, Elvira Elementary had the Right Flight program. We went over and watched those kids, these kids from the south side, right? They need the same opportunity as any child anywhere in the city or anywhere in the country. They got so excited about flying an airplane, about being there, learning how to fly an airplane, learning the engineering behind it, what it meant. And our kids need the same thing in golf, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Ms. Dong, you had something else?
Just one real quick thing that, you know, we're talking a lot about maintenance and all, and longevity and stuff. I think one of the things that's going to help us, I truly believe that there's going to be a lot of businesses that want to partner with us.
Definitely.
Because, you know, that's where all the golfing happens, like you said.
I think once this goes and the press starts coming out, there's going to be a lot of people who want to put their name as be a part of this. Even today, I had a gentleman contact me. He said he recently had back surgery. He got at the game of golf, and he said, I have tons of brand new golf balls and clubs that I want to donate to your program. I saw you on the news this morning.
Great.
And I'm really on board with what you're doing. And this is an out-of-district adult who found a way to contact me today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Just one.
Surprise.
Big surprise. Just real quick, because you mentioned that they're going to put it on the roof to fade the same time,
Yes.
but that turf gets awful hot and it retains heat. Isn't it going to make our roof really hot?
No, they're not gonna cover the whole roof.
Okay.
They're gonna put a
Okay.
piece of like
Okay.
6 foot by 6 foot.
Okay,
So
okay,
if there's a
okay.
hole that gets developed, they can patch that.
Okay, all
They're
right,
not-
thank you.
we're not
I
gonna
was
turf
like,
the roof.
what? It's like, okay, just
We could if
checking.
you wanted to.
Yeah, just like, thank you.
All right.
Is there a
Thank you,
motion?
President Crouch. Thank you, Board.
Is there a motion?
I think
Mr. Giffen?
has to make it 'cause
Oh,
she
do I
pulled
have to make
Well,
it?
you pulled it.
Oh, she could.
Oh, okay.
I think anybody could
That's-
actually
that's
read it.
this
Yeah,
one right here.
it's for discussion, so,
Right here where
yeah.
it says, recommendations.
Okay,
I would say.
okay. So I will recommend that we approve the golf complex as submitted.
Second,
Roll call?
Ms. Dawn?
yes.
Mr. Giffen?
Aye.
Mr. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Yes.
As someone that has only hit a golf ball in a miniature golf course, yes.
I got a hole in one and we.
Just adjourn.
Yeah,
Uh,
oh, go ahead.
You had your hand up first.
Ms. Dawn?
Mr. Crouch, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Dawn?
Yes.
Mr. Giffen?
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
There was some hesitance.
Ms. Quintero?
I was going to ask.
Yes,
Aye, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
thank you.
It's nice.
Thank you, Hector.